Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be discussing Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira that takes place at UFC 291, guys. This is a fight that I'm very excited, and just right off the bat, I think this is one of the hardest fights to predict, to be honest, just because I could see it going either way. I could see either a guy knocking the other guy out. So it's one of those fights where I just think it could go either way, and I feel like whoever ends up winning, it might be in a dominant fashion. Maybe they have a little bit of a scrap in the first round. But when this fight was initially announced about 2 months ago, I picked Jan Blachowicz to win the fight just because I thought Alex Pereira is coming off getting knocked out by Israel Adesanya in the rematch. He got knocked out really bad. He got put to sleep. And I don't think that 3 months is enough time for him to recover, for him to really like be able to come back and not be as chinny, I guess you could say. Now that I've gone back to rewatch some of the fights in preparation for this video, I think that Alex Pereira has a big chance of winning this fight, just because I think that one, he's not cutting that much weight as he typically does. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's moving up to 205 where he used to fight there in kickboxing. So he's a natural 205er. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy, not to call him a weight bully, but at middleweight, he was a bit of a weight bully. And I think at 205, it's probably his natural weight class. So I don't think Alex Pereira is going to be undersized. I think he might end up being even bigger than Jan Blachowicz in the octagon. So now that I've been thinking about this fight, I don't know. I just feel like Jan Blachowicz has to be perfect in this fight, because if they start scrapping, I just see Alex Pereira chinning him and TKOing him on the ground. We also have to remember that Jan Blachowicz is a lot older now. He's 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? He's been in a lot of good fights and stuff like that. So, but I could see people saying, you know, countering that point and saying, well, Alex Pereira just got chinned really badly. He does get hurt in fights. You know what I'm saying? You could also say that Jan Blachowicz can wrestle in this fight, but I've been rewatching a lot of Jan Blachowicz fights, and he typically doesn't wrestle. Like, he's typically the one getting out wrestled either by Magomed Ankalaev. He got out wrestled a little bit by Glover Teixeira, and he did get hurt by Glover Teixeira on the feet as well, and that's something to know. I mean, I know that he did have a great game plan against Israel Adesanya, where he won the first 3 rounds, outlanded Israel Adesanya, and was able to take him down in the later rounds. But the difference between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira when thinking about this matchup is that I just feel like Israel Adesanya, I don't think he really bulked up to go to light heavyweight. And I feel like Israel Adesanya is like a perfect middleweight. And I think Alex Pereira is clearly like a light heavyweight. Like, he's clearly built for the light heavyweight division. And because of that, I just think Alex Pereira just probably has way more power than Israel Adesanya at 205. And, you know, Alex Pereira is also used to fighting guys at 205 in that type of weight class. So I feel like that's not going to be a problem. And it just kind of changes things for Jan Blachowicz. And I just feel like he has to be perfect on the feet, and he has to be able to mix it up, because if he doesn't wrestle, I feel like he's at the mercy of getting knocked out. I do believe that Jan Blachowicz also has, obviously, the Polish power and can knock out Alex Pereira. So you know what I'm saying? But I think his chances of winning increase significantly if Jan Blachowicz is able to mix in the wrestling. Now, to counter that point, I do feel like, well, not that I do feel, but we do know that Alex Pereira has been training with Glover Teixeira. And now that Glover Teixeira has retired, I'm pretty sure they're going to train Alex Pereira to be able to stuff all the takedowns, to be better on the ground. And like I said, like, Glover Teixeira beat Jan Blachowicz pretty easily, and I feel like they're gonna help Alex Pereira do the same thing. And I just feel like Alex Pereira is younger, has more power. He's not gonna be as drained from this weight cut as he would in middleweight. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the reason why it's hard to confidently pick someone for this fight is because I feel like Alex Pereira kind of has like a suspect defense. Like, I don't think he's as defensively sound as someone like Jan Blachowicz. Also, Jan Blachowicz is a really good counter striker, really underrated striker. Both of these guys throw incredible leg kicks and kicks really well. So I see it kind of being neutralized in that position. Like, I don't really see much of these guys. But I think on the hands, like, I think Alex Pereira is just going to be a lot faster with his hands. And I think I just see him catching Jan Blachowicz, guys. And I know that logically, I feel like logically you have to pick Jan Blachowicz just because, like, okay, he's a better mixed martial artist. He's not coming off getting brutally KO'd. He's coming off a draw to Magomed Ankalaev, where, yeah, he got taken down and he kind of damaged a little bit, but he didn't take like that much damage. And, you know, that fight was like in December, so about 7 months ago. So enough time has passed for Jan Blachowicz to recover from that fight, while Alex Pereira is coming off fighting in April where he got brutally knocked out by Israel Adesanya. Like, is his chin gonna be the same? You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows how Alex Pereira is gonna come back into this fight? But I'm assuming that this is the same Alex Pereira that fought Israel Adesanya, but stronger, heavier, and less drained. I just see him catching Jan Blachowicz in this fight, guys. I just see it happening in the first round where maybe they get a little scrappy and he just catches Jan Blachowicz with the left hook. Like, we know Jan's going to be preparing for that, but this is a very tough fight to predict in my opinion. But I do believe, this is my official prediction, I do believe that Pereira is going to KO Jan early. I think Jan won't shoot early. I think that he's going to try to strike at the beginning. I think if it becomes a scrap, I think Pereira is just a lot more dangerous. And then Pereira is also training with Glover Teixeira, who beat Jan pretty easily. Pereira won't be drained at 205, and I feel like that's his natural weight class. So my gut feeling right now is that Alex Pereira wins this fight by KO. I think it's going to be on the feet. And I think Jan Blachowicz, I mean, he could catch him. Of course, he could catch him. I think both of these guys have a lot of power. But I do think the guy's getting a lot old. I feel like Jan Blachowicz could be kind of inconsistent with his fights. Like, I know he had a great performance against Dominic Reyes when he won the title. And then he defended pretty well against Israel Adesanya. But then he looked completely off against Glover Teixeira. He looked pretty well. He looked pretty good against Alexander Rakic. And then had a, you know, I'm gonna call it an okay performance against Magomed Ankalaev, even though both guys kind of didn't have the best of performances. I just think that that Alex Pereira is gonna catch him. Now, I'm assuming this fight is 3 rounds as of the recording of this video. There's a chance that this fight perhaps becomes a title fight, an interim title fight or something like that, and it becomes a 5-round fight. If it's a 5-round fight, I don't know. I think Alex Pereira still might win. I just feel like he might have a better cardio and he's not going to be as drained at 205. I think those are my main points when it comes to this fight. I just think Pereira is going to be a lot more powerful, is going to have the better cardio. I think he has the faster hands. And I think both of them are going to neutralize their kicks. I think the way Pereira stands is like very weird to like strike. Like, we saw Israel Adesanya really have a hard time striking with this guy. I also saw that like Jan Blachowicz is kind of plotty. Like, in a lot of his fights, he's not going to have the movement of an Israel Adesanya where Alex Pereira is like chasing him down. Like, no, Jan Blachowicz is going to be standing right in front of him, very plotty. So I don't see the movement of Jan Blachowicz being a problem for Alex Pereira here in this matchup. But, I mean, we also have to point out that right overhands are Alex Pereira's kryptonite. And we just saw him get hurt by Israel Adesanya in the first fight. He was saved by the bell. And obviously he got KO'd in the second fight by the same punch. So if he still hasn't acknowledged that lack of striking defense when covering the right side of his face and not getting caught by right overhands and right hands and stuff like that, then Jan Blachowicz is going to have a field day and he's probably going to take KO Alex Pereira here. But I'm going to assume that they're going to take notes from that and that Alex Pereira is going to be a little bit more hesitant. And I just think that he's going to win this fight, guys. That's my gut feeling. I think this is one of those fights where I could see it going either way. I feel like whoever you guys end up picking for this fight, you can make valid points for. I feel like this is kind of a risky pick just because obviously Alex Pereira is coming off a loss where he lost brutally, but I think due to the fight being at 205, I think due to the fact that he trains with Glover Teixeira, I think due to the fact that I believe he has faster hands than Jan Blachowicz, I also think obviously he's a lot younger. Right now, I think that Alex Pereira will KO Jan Blachowicz at UFC 291, guys. That's my official prediction for this fight, guys. Let me know down in the comments below who you think is going to win this fight. I think this is an exciting matchup. To be totally honest with you guys, I'm more excited for this fight than the main event between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje 2, to be totally honest. I'm just very curious to see this matchup, and I think Alex Pereira still has a lot of potential at 205, and I think this is a very interesting matchup that they chose for him, right? Because imagine they would have put him against like a Magomed Ankalaev or even an Anthony Smith, somebody who's a little bit more wrestling heavy. That could have been a really bad night for Alex Pereira, and that could have really ruined his chances of potentially becoming a champion at 205 or even fighting for the title. But with this matchup, this is like a good matchup where like if he wins, you could justify him fighting for the title, maybe against Yuri Prochazka next. And to be totally honest with you, I think he has a really good chance. I mean, I don't know how Yuri Prochazka is going to come off that 1 year layoff and his shoulder injury. But Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka, like, just thinking about that matchup right now, I think I would lean Alex Pereira. Obviously, we have to see how he looks at UFC 291. But right now, my gut feeling is that Alex Pereira would probably be Yuri Prochazka. And just imagine that narrative, guys. Imagine Pereira beats Jan Blachowicz and then beats Yuri Prochazka, and then you make the trilogy with Israel Adesanya. I mean, that would sell great for the UFC. But I mean, I'm assuming a lot, right, guys? I'm assuming a lot because he got KO'd brutally, and who knows if you come back the same after such a brutal KO loss. So yeah, guys, I mean, like I said, my initial reaction to this fight when it got announced was that Jan Blachowicz was going to win and was going to take him down and beat him pretty dominantly or KO him. And Jan Blachowicz is the more well-rounded fighter. So objectively, I feel like you have to pick Jan Blachowicz. But like I said, this is MMA, and we've seen crazier things happen. I mean, we just saw Dricus du Plessis TKO Robert Whittaker, where we all thought that Robert Whittaker is just way more skilled on the feet. He's the anti-wrestler. Nobody can take him down. His level IQ, his experience is just going to be too much for Dricus. I think this is one of those matches where I just feel like Alex Pereira is just going to chin him. It's just going to chin him, and that's just my prediction for this fight. I just think Alex Pereira is just going to be too much for Jan Blachowicz on the feet, and I just think he has the faster hands, and I just see him catching him in the early rounds. And even if he doesn't catch him in the early rounds, I just see Alex Pereira being able to have a moment where he just takes him out of there. So anyway, guys, like I said, I'm going with Pereira for this matchup. I think he's going to win by TKO. I'm a fan of both these guys. I think both of these guys are pretty loved by the MMA community, guys. Pretty awesome fighters right now. This is an awesome fight, guys. But anyway, please make sure to like and subscribe to the video. Let me know who you guys believe is going to win this fight and why. And if you agree with my reasons or not, please let me know down in the comments below. And we'll see what ends up happening, guys. We'll see what ends up happening. We really haven't gotten any announcement of what's going to end up happening with the UFC light heavyweight title. But I'm sure we'll get news soon, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.